Hello,
Hi.
and thank you for joining us, our viewers on video. I'm here with Anthony Jack, um, and I'm going to ask Anthony to say a few words about sort of where his history, where he was raised, and what he does with his life. But he assures me that his main job these days is a stay-at-home dad. I know that he's doing more than that, but he's also doing that. This is, we're going to demonstrate the debriefing for resilience, and we're practice partners, and I have something that I want to work with Anthony. But Anthony, could you just say a few words about who you are and what are you bringing to this video recording?
Thanks, Ike. So my name's Anthony. My last name is Jack, which confuses people. I'm currently a stay-at-home dad.
Jack Anthony.
It should be Jack Anthony, but yeah, I still get called Jack by friends, unfortunately. So I'm currently a stay-at-home father. I have my own business in peace building. I've lived and worked in about 9 countries in various forms of community development, project management, teaching, research, editing, coaching, and some mediation. That's about it, I think.
With a little smattering of NVC.
True. I've been practicing NVC for around 18 years now, and I first met Marshall back in 2004, so 16 years.
Okay, so what we're doing here, we're pretending that you and I are practice partners, and that we've arranged to have this conversation. We've already done the preliminaries of how are you and answering that honestly. And we've decided that I've asked for, and you've agreed that we're gonna do this debriefing for resilience map, and that I'm gonna be the one that has the scenario. So I'm just gonna go into telling you a little bit about the scenario. I'm gonna tell you as little as possible. Actually, before we started recording, I told you a little bit, so there's already a smile. What I'm mourning right now and having intrusive thoughts about is my having stayed up until the early hours of this morning, just about 5 hours, maybe 6-7 hours ago. I stayed up till nearly 5 a.m. in the morning, binging on Netflix, or actually Amazon Prime. It doesn't matter. I was binging on a video series, and I stayed up later than I wanted. And I have, a lot of thoughts about that. This is a lifelong pattern of mine, and so on. So I would like to get started doing that, and tell you first, Anthony, what I'm mourning, what I'm telling myself. So I'm I'm catching these thoughts that are, I call them kind of bouncing off of the edge of consciousness, that are like, I'm really, I screwed up. I'm doing it again, and it'll have an impact on me, and for 2 or 3 days, I'll be foggy and goofy. And as I get older, I'm 71, it's gotten worse over the years. And I want a little celebration, a little that I'm not so bad to my practice partner, is that I have, in this last 9 months or 10 months, I haven't done this. I think this is like the only time I've stayed up this late. But it's a lifelong pattern, and so I'm regretting that. And so those are a cluster of observations, and I'm feeling disappointed. And that's about being some kind of consistency or predictability, or to learn from this or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm disappointed, feeling disappointed. And I'm feeling concerned. That is primarily because when my wife sees me and knows that I report to her the next day that I've done this, she begins to worry that I'm dealing with some kind of stress that I'm not articulating and not to myself, and I'm not dealing with, and it's unresolved stress or internal conflict that's generating this.
So first, I'd like to thank you for sharing that, Ike. Let me see if I understand correctly, and if I don't, please tell me so.
Okay.
So I'm hearing that you have had a lifelong pattern of staying up much later than you would really like to stay up, and for want of a better word, binging on movies or videos, and you feel disappointed in yourself for this. And I'm hearing a concern as well that you would like to change. You'd like to learn from this and change this, but you're not sure how. And you're concerned about this effect on your life and on your well-being. And I'm also hearing that your wife is concerned that when you do these things, you aren't dealing with an issue which you may have inside. And what comes to my mind is that you may also feel worried about how this impacts your wife.
Yeah, I am. That is true. When you said that, I had a little catch in my throat. I almost couldn't say.
I'm hearing that you really care about your wife and your wife's well-being.
Yes.
But at the same time, you feel torn, very disappointed in yourself, and not sure how to balance these two things out.
Yeah, I mean, there are some needs that I meet by doing this. In the history of this is when I lived in California and had a broadcast TV, and I would literally not watch anything. I would just flip channels, whenever that scene would end and I would have to wait through a commercial, I would just flip. And I watched nothing for 4 or 5 hours straight. I don't do that anymore. But primarily, I don't give myself the opportunity, meaning I don't have access to a broadcast TV. My wife has a TV, but I don't know how to work the remote. So,
can I interrupt you one moment?
Yeah.
So, when you said that your wife worries about you,
yes,
and that happens, I'm wondering how that lands for you. Like, what feelings arise for you? What thoughts arise?
Well, I'm ambivalent. It's like, one, it's about my autonomy. Like, let me do what I want to do, and even if I'm screwing up, it's like, I don't want you, blah blah blah. And then the other side is that I'm very touched. And when you said it, and I said I have this catch in my throat, I was, I have concerns for her, and I don't want her to worry about me. And I'm getting to a certain age where she worries about me, and she tells me that. I'm glad she tells me, but I'm concerned and I'm touched by her worry.
So I'm wondering if you're open to hear some feedback that I may have.
Okay, go ahead. Sure, I really welcome Yes, I do want to hear your feedback.
So, like, some things that come to my mind in this situation is that, as you mentioned, you have this need for autonomy and for your space and choice to be respected.
Yeah.
But you also really desire to honor your wife's concern.
Yeah. I also want to honor my concern. You know, there's a part of me
Mhm.
that that's the autonomy part is the torn part, but the other part of me is, you know, I want to have predictability and order in my life. I want to be able to have rest and recuperation and all of that. And when I live out of the whatever it is that I live out of, when I binge, that's not good for me. Physically, it's not good for me, and it has a spillover into my mental health.
So, as as you know, there are many ways of meeting that need for autonomy.
Oh,
Whether it's going for a
be a
walk
life-changing moment here, Anthony.
or drinking whatever you want to drink or eating whatever you want to eat.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, like, when it comes to autonomy with staying up late, if there are any deeper needs that are behind that.
Actually, the autonomy is not about staying up late. The autonomy is when I hear from Daisy that she's concerned and I hear her as trying to shape and of course she does want me to not do this, to change my conduct. But she's not trying to tell me what to do. She's just concerned. And there's a part of me that hears that as a challenge to my autonomy. And then when I can be self-connected and I can hear that as concern and care and I want to contribute to her concern, her well-being, so that she doesn't have that kind of concern. So I'm just picking on the idea of autonomy is not, I don't think the autonomy is the reason for the binging. The binging is more like wanting to, it's like freedom. It's like I want, maybe that's a version of autonomy, but I don't think of it that way. It's like I want to get to play. Particularly in this time of COVID, when we have been, you know, isolating for a long time. I'm a social animal. I want to be out and engaging with people, and videos are not a way to engage, but I'm wanting to play, some sign of exuberance, some whatever it is.
Also wondering if it's I'm wanting to escape from the monotony.
Yeah, escape the monotony. So what was that in a kind of affirmative? It's like I want to
find joy and express joy in life.
Yeah, I want to have variation. I want to have, you know, like not just my same thoughts in my head. So we've been doing, I want to kind of stay on track here with this idea of celebrating and or mourning and then celebrating. I'd like to shift a little bit to celebrating. And it's one of the things that we've just touched upon, this need for play and this need for variation. Variation. It's like that. It's the monotony. It's like not to escape from monotony, but wanting variation. I'm trying to put it into the affirmative language of what it is I want rather than what I don't want. And I definitely experienced that. And there's also this other thing that I wanted to celebrate, which is, and I've noticed this going back in all of the past times that I've done this, that even though I may be exhausted, and often was when I was practicing law and had young children and my sleep was disrupted, as you're getting to live with now. When I would stay up late and then I would get up the next morning, there would be this burst of kind of, you're nodding like you've lived through this. It's like a burst of kind of sparkling awareness or liveness or brightness or something. And then it quickly begins to go into fatigue and exhaustion. And then it takes several days, and it's taking, the older I get, it takes more days to recover. But it takes days for that sleep deficit to catch up. And I experienced that again this morning. And I'm experiencing the crash as we're talking right now. But there is a celebration about getting to have that. It's not really a high, but it's kind of like, it's a brightness, a high, an enthusiasm. So that's just for the purposes of the viewers. That's my morning. That's my celebration. And now I want to, shift to learn, plan, practice. And what have I learned from this? I actually have learned I want to spend more time and go deeper with you, but I'm not going to do it on this video because it'll just bore people to tears. It's an interesting thing. The people that are actually in the process rarely report that they were bored, but the observers of the process, myself included, can just go like, God, this is like watching, paint dry. It's like, God, can we move on? But it's very engaging for the person who's in the process. So what I've learned is, I don't know whether I've learned this, but it's a thought that I have that I have strategies for so if I can disrupt the pattern, if I can get up and do something, and if I can realize that I have some task that I want to do in the morning or something, if I can pull away from the screen and go to the bathroom or something and then think about something else, that is a way that I can interrupt this kind of thing. And I want to spend some time later, like how I might formalize that more for myself, because I didn't attempt any of those last night. So that's one thing I learned. I also have learned that I'd never really articulated that there was this kind of period of energy burst and the sense that I had gotten my need for play met, and I was basking in the glow of that. There ought to be better ways, because the sleep deficit is really a painful thing for me. I have insomnia, difficulty sleeping. I don't want to have any more reasons for insomnia. Okay, so that's what have I learned? What am I gonna plan? Well, I have a semi-plan of trying to work on this a little bit and be more specific. Create some of these ways of interrupting the just going from one show to the next series in the series. And practice, I don't have a practice idea here, but that often it's not every time that it comes up in this exercise. But I like to have thought about what I might practice. Do you have any feedback for this?
I could suggest a practice if that would be of any use.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to hear a suggestion of practice.
Like you were talking about how you would like to interrupt the pattern of sitting there and
Yes.
and digesting video streaming.
Yeah.
Maybe one thing which you could practice is setting a reminder on your phone saying, now's the time to get up and do X, Y, or Z. And
Yeah.
please turn off the screen on your way out.
I do that for other things. That's a really good, I don't know. I've never tried that for this. Well, it's gotten so bad that I don't watch series on any of the streaming services. I will not start a series unless I'm watching it with my wife. And this one was the exception. Like I only look for movies so that there is an end time, even if it goes over. So that's one thing that I have planned in the past, but this is obvious, but yet it wasn't so obvious that I had done it. This idea of setting a timer on my phone, I do that for other things. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to try that. I'm planning to try that. If then, next time I start a series without watching it with somebody else, in this day and age with my wife, that I'm gonna, if I start a series, I'm gonna set a timer.
And you can have planned variants.
What is the term? Planned variant?
Planned variants, like you have a certain amount of variants which you are okay with having.
Oh,
and it doesn't impact the need for rest as well.
Yeah, planned variants. So sort of some not being so hard on yourself if you stay at another 10 or 15 minutes over the time for the, yeah, okay.
I'll be hard on you instead, don't worry.
Okay. So I want to thank you for your willing to do this with me, and it's always an excuse to get to talk to you is something I enjoy doing. So, okay, Anthony, is there anything last thing you want to say to our viewers? You want to say goodbye?
I guess so. Hopefully see you again soon, and enjoy the course.